Welcome everyone to our special presentation tonight. We are going to be talking about what I would probably call a secret or a myth out there about weight loss and permanent weight loss and some interesting topics. Specifically, a word I want you to remember, afterburn. Remember that word, it's a Harvard term, and it really unlocks what we need to know about weight loss. Let's start with the problem out there. 2/3 of people are overweight, 75% are not getting adequate exercise. This is not a problem. This is an epidemic in the world, and especially the United States. In my lifetime, I can never remember a time when something came out and we changed the course, meaning we started reducing obesity. Take that in for a second. We never address the #1 epidemic in the United States. We only get worse, meaning we come out with all these inventions and diets and fads, and yet more people every day are not exercising, more people are becoming overweight, more people are becoming obese, and then add to that, the three big ones that go along with metabolic disease. Metabolic meaning reduced metabolism, atherosclerosis, high lipids, blood sugar, insulin resistance, high blood pressure. Well, here's the big challenge that we deal with. When we're teenagers, the majority of us teenagers are in our 20s, we don't have problems with weight. Why? Because we have high levels of growth hormone and thyroid. Now, first thing you need to know tonight, these are your natural releases. These are not stimulated by exercise or stress. They're going to be tweaked a little bit by those things, but this is Mother Nature's clock. You really can't change this. As you age, this natural growth hormone and then natural thyroid release slows down. Most of the people on the call were 30 and above, so let's just look down there at 40. We are operating on less than 30% of the natural growth hormone and thyroid that we had when we were younger. It just continues to decrease with age, add to its stress. And then what do we see? We see early aging and then slow metabolism, right? Skin changes, body composition, the big one, right? We continue to have the same lifestyle, but we have more body fat and less muscle. And then we see things like arthritis, blood problems with blood sugar, cardiovascular problems, hypothyroidism, a big one, bone density, and then brain degenerative changes. Now, most people are going to experience some of these in their life, but you should not experience any of these before you're 60, 70 years old, maybe late 50s, early 60s, and way too many people are experiencing this. Why? Because of low growth hormone and low thyroid. Here's what most people never heard. These go hand in hand. Why? Because the hypothalamus and pituitary gland are the major organ for affecting growth hormone and thyroid. When you don't get vigorous exercise, this low growth hormone and low thyroid problem starts to cause a lot of issues in the human body. But there's one way to maintain elevated growth hormone and elevated thyroid hormones. I'm talking about having growth hormone and thyroid like you're 25 years old, 30 years old, even into your 60s and 70s. It's called vigorous exercise. The problem, most people think a walk on the treadmill or some aerobic exercise is what we need. Here's what you need to know. If you want to elevate growth hormone and thyroid hormone, you've got to feel the burn. You're not going to get it from walking on the treadmill. Okay? You're not going to get it from traditional aerobic exercise unless you're on the Peloton and you're feeling the burn, right? You're climbing a little bit. Very simply, you need an exercise intensity or burn for a minimum of 10 minutes if you're doing traditional exercise. Traditional, I mean, you do something, you feel the burn, you take a break. So you're in and out of the burn, or intermittent training. You can reduce that down to 3 to 4 minutes if you will get into the burn, meaning get on the treadmill or elliptical with BFR bands and feel the burn and don't stop. When you create this burn, and this is the whole key, You are elevating growth hormone and thyroid hormones. You're boosting this natural system. You're maintaining young levels of growth hormone and thyroid hormone. Growth hormone from vigorous activity will skyrocket your metabolism. We're going to talk about that. No other therapy available. I'm talking about anything. Exercise, therapy, diet can have the impact on aging and weight loss that your own growth hormone can have, and then your own thyroid hormone. And we talk about this a lot. There is nothing in all of nature and all of medicine that has the impact that growth hormone has on the human body. But you've got to feel the burn. See, this is the big myth and the big problem out there. We think exercise will impact this. Well, only if you feel the burn. Here's the big one tonight. We're told to go get some aerobic exercise, go for a walk, get on the treadmill, take a class. And why are we told this? Because we fell into this marketing concept of 30, 45 minutes an hour to promote aerobic exercise. But here's what nobody ever told you. Aerobic exercise has very little impact on growth hormone and thyroid. Guess what else they never told you? This one's going to shock you. Aerobic exercise, long, medium intensity aerobic exercise, will actually have a reverse effect. It'll actually suppress growth hormone and thyroid. This is right out of a study right off of online. I found this, and it goes right in hand with what we already know. Let's start on the right side. Long endurance exercise. This is what most people do. Has the reverse effect. Why? Because it suppresses growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone, because it's stressful to the body. Let's go over to the left side. Research involving high intensity interval training, short blasts of feeling the burn, promotes the release of growth hormone, and it suppresses cortisol, the stress hormone, which can help to restore, not boost. Read that word, restore. Not thyroid function, optimal thyroid function. The exact opposite of what we're being told is what we need, this vigorous strength training, high impact, high intensity exercise. We need this less than 20 minutes, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of vigorous exercise. Look down there on the left, strength training, CrossFit, sprinting, Peloton, climbing the hills up and down, feeling the burn, vigorous high intensity. What suppresses thyroid stimulating hormone in the thyroid is endurance training. And that is what everybody thinks we need. I can tell you this, in my 3 to 4 years of really studying this and helping over 30,000 people, I can't think of very many health benefits you're going to achieve from doing 45 minutes to an hour of endurance training. I really can't think of any. Now, you need some endurance and aerobic, but this concept of long endurance training is just not showing any health benefits. Why? Because the thyroid was not designed to respond to long aerobic exercise. Here's another thing nobody probably told you. When you have a low functioning thyroid, which leads to low metabolism, holding on to fat, not being able to lose weight, body composition changes, lack of energy, lack of sleep, the thyroid 95% of the time is not the culprit. Why? Because the thyroid does not function by itself. Wow, nobody ever told us that one. The thyroid needs thyroid stimulating hormone, which is naturally released when you're young, and as you age, it slows down. But then if you do vigorous exercise, you will get not only growth hormone, but thyroid stimulating hormone. Guess what it does to the thyroid? Well, it's not called thyroid depressing hormone. It's not called thyroid hypothyroid hormone. It's not called thyroid Hashimoto's hormone. It's called thyroid stimulating hormone. And it stimulates the thyroid to boost the production of thyroid hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone is produced in the greatest amount when you do high intensity, short bouts of vigorous exercise. What exercise? Let's go back. Okay. Long endurance exercise suppresses thyroid stimulating hormone. Vigorous short bouts of high intensity strength training or explosion type exercise boost thyroid stimulating hormone. So the problem is, number one, most people are not exercising, and when they do, they're doing the wrong exercise. They're focusing all on aerobic. Let me give you a perfect example. Jeannine has been exercising her whole life. She owns a gym. She endurance trains for 1 to 2 hours per day, and she developed hypothyroidism. Let's go back. What does long endurance exercise do to us? Increases cortisol, stress hormone, and suppresses growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone. So Jeannine will tell you she couldn't get her body fat down. Now she's not overweight, but she wanted to be leaner. She couldn't build muscle because she is releasing cortisol and having low growth hormone, low thyroid stimulating hormone, and developed hypothyroidism. Here's problem number 2. Now that we know that the right exercise is high intensity, short bouts of strength training, most people can't do that. This is me at 52 years old, a cartoon picture when I was introduced to BFR, and I could no longer tolerate strength training. I'd already replaced 3 joints. Every joint in my body was hurting. So even when we now know that we need to do vigorous strength training, we get in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, and most people cannot tolerate it. Or they don't have the time for the 45-minute CrossFit to drive back and forth, or it causes pain, or we don't have access to the right type of equipment. And in that third category there, here's where most people end up. They end up on the bike or the treadmill or the elliptical or going for a walk or going for a bike ride. Now, if that walk or treadmill involves some high intensity bursts where you're feeling the burn, great, but most people don't do that, right? They do this low, moderate intensity training. Now the breakthrough. We know what we need. We need short bursts of high intensity exercise combined with some aerobic exercise. BFR bands simply reduce the amount of available oxygen that is in the muscles. So let's imagine we're going to get on the elliptical now. We know the elliptical by itself is not the right exercise. BFR is going to turn it into the perfect exercise. Walking the dog. We now know that walking the dog is not going to help your thyroid, help your metabolism, turn on fat burn. We're going to turn walking the dog into the perfect exercise. We're going to turn any movement you like to do. How do we do that? When we put the BFR bands on, it reduces how much oxygen the muscle has. So now when you're walking, your muscles feel like you're running. When you're on the elliptical, it feels like you're on the stair climber trying to climb Mount Everest. When you're doing something light, the muscle fatigues as if you're doing high intensity. Ingenious. In my opinion, the greatest biohack in human health and performance ever. Why? Because we're tapping into the human hormonal system and turning on all these incredible hormones that keep you young. We all know what BFR does. I won't spend a lot of time here talking about what it does, but it dramatically reduces anti-aging, increases performance, and elevates growth hormone. So now we're doing a BFR session for a minimum of 3 to 4 minutes of continuous exercise, hence some of our 3-minute guns, 4-minute legs workout, or we're doing traditional exercise where we do a set, take a quick break, do a set, and we go for anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and we're in and out of the burn. This burn then creates a post-exercise afterburn, or an increase in metabolism. How does it do that? Because your body responds to the burn by releasing growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone at levels that most people have never experienced. Let me repeat that. You're going to get a post-exercise increase in growth hormone and thyroid stimulating hormone, and most people will go through their entire lives doing light exercise or no exercise at all and will never experience this. What will happen if you experience it for 1 month? You're going to see major changes. What if you do it for 6 months? What if you do it for the rest of your life? You're never going to have weight loss. You're never going to have weight problems again. And you're probably going to eliminate 90% of the dysfunctional problems, blood sugar, atherosclerosis, cardiovascular disease, brain degenerative problems. You're probably going to eliminate those or dramatically reduce those. Why? Because of growth hormone and increased thyroid function. Very simply, what if you had the metabolism of an 18-year-old when you're 40, when you're 60, when you're 80? Let's go back. You can't without the exercise because your natural production of thyroid hormones has slowed down. Mid-20s, slower in your 30s. As you get older, it continues to slow down. But if you can maintain vigorous exercise where you feel the burn, you're going to maintain high levels of thyroid hormone, optimal levels, not high, optimal, and you're going to maintain a wonderful metabolism. And this is why Harvard calls it afterburn. What do they mean? They mean after exercise, you're getting this increase in metabolism for a minimum of 24 hours, meaning you're burning dramatically more calories, 400, 800, maybe even 1,000 more calories in a 24-hour period. But how does that happen? How is afterburn triggered? Let's go back to what controls metabolism, everyone. Growth hormone, and specifically the thyroid. So here's what Harvard is telling you. If you can do, and read what it says there, high intensity, not an hour of cardio, not 30 minutes of light cardio, not 2 hours, but short bouts of high intensity exercise, the human body is going to elevate growth hormone and thyroid hormone. And you're going to go into afterburn. And you're going to burn dramatically more calories. Guess what else you're going to burn? Fat. Guess what else you're going to stimulate? Muscle. Most people, the majority of people, when they lose weight, what do they lose? Fat and muscle. This type of adaptation in the human body, especially with B3 BFR bands, will reduce fat, increase muscle, and dramatically improve your body composition and your health. So what did Jeannine do? Well, once I finally got through to her, and this is very common because we believe, well, let's just do more. Once we reduced her training from an hour to 2 hours to 20 minutes with a combination of light aerobic exercise, 5, 6, 7 minutes, not 2 hours, and then some strength training with the bands, up goes her growth hormone, up goes her thyroid, down comes her cortisol. She goes to her doctor, and her doctor says, I don't know what you've been doing, but you're okay to come off your thyroid medication. And she had a big time change. Here's a person training for an hour or two a day that switched to the bands in 20 minutes, turns on the thyroid, and her body composition changed, not a little bit, dramatically. If she's on here, I'll have her come on, but she'll tell you body fat went down, muscle went up, performance went through the roof, my energy went through the roof. Why? Because this is how the body was designed to work. Here's a classic example. Ronnie and Kathy, when I met them, they had tried every diet program. What happened? They'd lose weight, they'd lose muscle, they'd come off the diet, they'd put more weight on. Yo-yo dieting. Most people get into this yo-yo trap and then they're stuck. I said, what exercise do you like to do? They said, well, we like to walk the dog. Had them come over, put the bands on. They went for a dog walk for 15 minutes, came back and said, our legs feel like we just ran sprints. Lost 40 pounds together in 6 weeks. Energy skyrocketed. Muscle went up. Energy went up. Everything. What did we do? We got away from this traditional low intensity, medium intensity aerobic exercise myth, and we got over to the vigorous, high intensity, but in a way they could do it thanks to the bands. We elevated their growth hormone. We elevated their thyroid. Problem solved. Next, here's Stan. Stan does not like to go to the gym. He's not a weightlifter. He's more than 100 pounds overweight. What did they do with him in Idaho? Thanks to the wonderful team up there, Jeannine, Tammy Mendenhall, they gave him a program of doing light strength training, no more than 20 minutes at home in his basement, something he can tolerate. You see, most people, once you give them the program, the high intensity exercise, they can't even do it. So we gave Stan things that he likes to do. The ladies gave this to him. Thank you, ladies. Things he can tolerate that he's willing to continue to do. He gets the burn. Here goes growth hormone. Here goes thyroid hormone. Down comes the weight, lost 100 pounds in 9 months. And now he's back to a wonderful, normal life. Not temporary, permanent improvement in health, permanent weight loss. Here's another classic example. Lisa, she plays 6 to 8 hours of pickleball a week. Now, she's a vigorous pickleball player. She plays pretty vigorously. Can't lose weight, no matter what she does. So if I was to ask everybody on the call, Lisa, in her middle ages, is exercising, playing 6 to 8 hours. 1 to 2 hours at a time, she's doing what? Low, medium intensity exercise, like aerobic exercise. What's the problem, everyone? She is not producing growth hormone or thyroid stimulating hormone. She's probably releasing cortisol, stress hormone, which depresses growth hormone and thyroid. And she has got low metabolism and cannot lean up the way she wants to. Now, how in the world can somebody who does 6 to 8 hours per week of aerobic exercise have low metabolism? It does not make sense until we are told the truth that 6 to 8 hours of aerobic exercise is not the solution to metabolism. Short bouts of strength training or putting the bands on. So, did we design an exercise program for Lisa? No. Did we have her start exercising differently? No. She joined a gym? No. She get the weights out? No. She put the bands on and played pickleball. Now let me repeat this. We can take everybody you know and care about who's probably likes to do some type of exercise, walk the dog, go for a swim, play pickleball, hit golf balls, mow the yard, and we can put the bands on. So Lisa puts the bands on for the first 10 to 15 minutes of pickleball. What do you think she felt when she was moving around on the court with the bands on? Hopefully all of you said the burn, which is the correct answer. She's feeling the burn like she is doing strength training or high intensity because the bands have reduced oxygen to allow her muscles to fatigue. What happened next? Lisa lost 17 pounds of body fat, put on muscle, dramatically improved her condition. And all she did was continue doing what she likes to do. Give you another example. You have people that you know right now who don't exercise, but they walk. They walk to work. They walk at their kids' practice. They get up in the morning and they walk around the house. They walk, they walk, they walk. What if you just put the bands on them and said, hey, just keep walking? Maybe every minute or two drop and do like a static lunge position and get the burn going. You would dramatically increase their thyroid hormone and growth hormone, and you know what would happen next. Now, if you want to follow along with our workouts, it's easy as 3-minute arms, continuous arms, 3 minutes of the burn, and 4-minute legs. You can go longer, but this is all you need right here. Day 1, 3-minute arms. We're going to send you the video as soon as you purchase the bands. If you're in the company, make sure you've got this workout. Next day, 4-minute legs. 3 minutes of burn on one day, 4 minutes of burn on the next day, and you're going to elevate growth hormone and thyroid hormone.